Hello, and welcome to Authors Amplified. I'm your host, Stephanie O'Neill. My show is a part of the Amplified Podcast Network, where ideas echo and voices resonate. With over 20 years at Christian Television Network, I've had the privilege of meeting countless talented and spiritual individuals, and it's too inspiring not to share. I'm just a girl who loves Jesus wholeheartedly. I'm eager to learn and grow, and I'd like you to join me on this journey. In each episode, I'll be speaking with Christian authors who will share their stories and insights about the books they've written. I'm thrilled to have you with us, so let's get started. Thank you for joining another Authors Amplified. This episode is going to be really close to my heart, being a breast cancer survivor. So please get a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, sit down and join us as we talk to Kim Harms. She has written Carried Through Cancer, 70 Days of Spiritual Strength from Cancer Fighters, Survivors, and Caregivers. So Kim, thank you so much for being here and thank you for your time. It's truly appreciated.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk to you today.
Yeah, really, really good book. I can see how it would be so helpful for somebody who's going through cancer or for a caregiver who's going through cancer to kind of help them know maybe what the person is going through or feeling. So it's really great. It would be a really great thing to have in your library for sure.
Yes, that was what I was hoping for. Just something that kind of bite-sized stories that when people are in need, you're hurting, you're scared, cancer's hard, that you can just pick that up, open it up, read a story, and just see what God did for someone and just believe God. I mean, he allows hard things, but he's with you in them in those stories. I'm hoping just show people that. So.
That's wonderful. And he's no respecter of persons. So if he did it for somebody else, he can do it for you.
Right.
Yes.
For sure.
So
Yes.
can we know a little bit about Kim before we start, just so the listeners know who they're listening to?
Sure. Yeah, I am an Iowa girl. I was born and raised in Iowa. I live in about 20 miles north of Des Moines. I have a husband of 28 years, Corey, and then we have three boys. They're men now. Carter is 24, Owen's 23, Lewis is 18, almost 19, and getting ready to graduate here next month. So we're going to be empty nesters soon, which is exciting and scary. And I really adore Lewis, so I'm going to be sad when he's gone. But
Yeah.
he's excited and he's ready.
Nice.
So yeah, I've lived the boy mom life. I have been a writer for years. I did wrote for newspapers out of college, and then this is my second book, and then I also work part-time in a library, so I just spend lots of time with books and words, and enjoy that very much.
Nice. Wow. All boys. Wow. That's a lot.
Yes,
And I'll tell you
yes,
this, empty nest was harder than I ever anticipated.
yes. People have said that. People have
Yeah.
said that. So we'll see. He's only moving about 15 miles down the road, so he'll be
Okay,
pretty
that's
close.
wonderful.
So
I
yeah,
try to make rules. I'm like, how about no longer than 100 miles? How about that?
right. Yes.
So let's talk about the book. The book is 70 Days of Spiritual Strength Carried Through Cancer. 70 Days of
Mhm.
Spiritual Strength from Cancer Fighters, Survivors, and Caregivers. What inspired you to write Carried Through Cancer?
Well, my cancer diagnosis for sure was a big part of that. I have written devotional type stories quite a few places, just here and there. I love writing other people's stories, and then as a reporter, I really do enjoy taking interview information and making a story out of it. And this, um, I just thought I had a book that someone had given me when I was going through cancer that was kind of similar, but very helpful for me to just pick up and read, not necessarily even in order. And I just had kind of a list of things where I was like, oh, wow, God did that. Oh, and God did this. And started writing mine down and thought, I am going to reach out and I'm going to see if I can find other cancer survivors who will be willing to talk to me or cancer fighters, and tell me their stories. And so it just kind of blossomed from there. It is really a style of writing I enjoy. So I enjoyed not only meeting all these women, but then making a concise story out of
Mhm.
what they told me. So yeah, it came out of my first diagnosis. I was actually working on a book proposal when I was diagnosed a second time. So I'm a two-time, have had cancer twice, and actually finished the manuscript. I mean, I was working on that through cancer treatment the second
Wow.
time. So
Do you
yeah.
mind sharing what kind of cancers they were and like how long ago it
Oh,
was?
yeah, no problem. Yeah, I was it's breast cancer. I was first diagnosed with breast cancer at age 40, a month to the day after my 40th birthday. I actually found the lump myself. So then I went in for mammogram, which led to ultrasound, biopsy, and cancer. That was stage one, and that year I had bilateral mastectomy, breast reconstruction. Didn't go through chemo or radiation with that one. I was on hormone therapy to keep the cancer from returning. I was in year 7 of 10 years of that, and then the cancer decided it would come back anyway. And so, 7 years to the day after my first diagnosis, I was at my oncologist office again, checking out a lump I had found in my armpit.
Mhm.
And that was stage 2, and that diagnosis led to chemo, radiation, lumpectomy in my armpit. And that was in 2023. So I had 16 rounds of chemo and then 25 rounds of radiation that year, and then have been on more just kind of long-term meds to hopefully keep it from coming back. So
Wow,
that's where I'm
yeah.
at. I'm healthy and happy and doing well and really enjoying having hair.
Well, yes, amen, amen. You said you found the lump. My short testimony is the Lord led me to look for my lump one night sitting on the couch. Something in like
Mm,
not an audible voice, but something said like check your left side. And I was like, I don't know, check your left side. And right on top was the biggest lump, which led me to go. But when I went, the cancer was actually deep down in, and that big lump when it was gone. So it was like that was the
wow.
Lord going, you need to go get checked. This isn't it, but this is gonna get you to go get checked, you know?
Wow.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's my
that's crazy.
testimony of how I found it anyway.
Mm,
Yeah. So
yeah.
cancer can feel very isolating. So what do you hope
Yes.
readers feel or experience as they open the pages of Carried Through Cancer?
Mhm. Well, I hope that they can relate to some of the stories. Um, I hope they can see that it's not just them. I mean, um, it is isolating because you are most likely you're the only one in your circle going through it at one time, and but when you open up and you reach out and see and read stories of other people, it just feels like, oh, this is something that other people go through. I am not by myself.
Mhm.
Um, I I'm not the first person to go through this. I will not be the last. Um, and there's comfort in knowing that, okay, other people did this. I can do this too. God will not leave me in this. And just knowing there are other people out there who are looking back now and saying, okay, I was in this really hard spot that you were in, but look what God did.
Mhm.
I just want to give just a little bit of encouragement to people who are just walking through such a hard path.
Yeah. Because especially like, and I don't want to keep bringing it to myself, but I can relate to so much of this. Nobody in my family ever had any type of cancer. I mean, no breast
Mhm.
cancer, nothing. So I was the first one ever that my parents could ever remember in our lineage.
Wow.
So to say it was a surprise is an understatement because number one, I thought it was hereditary, which it's not. But in
Right.
my mind, I thought it was. So I thought no one has had it, so I'm not going to get it. And you just
Right.
never anticipate that diagnosis,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And then the other thing I discovered, and I wonder if other people had this also. In your mind, you kind of think, okay, if I ever go through anything, and cancer, illness, great, whatever, you know who's going to be there for you. But then you
Mhm.
find out when you go through it that those weren't the people that were there for you, and other people come out of the woodwork that you don't even anticipate.
There
Was
is
that
some of
something?
that. Yes.
Yes, okay. Because I was really surprised. I thought I have my little army behind me or whatever, and it didn't turn out to be those people. That
Hmm.
was surprising to me. So it surprised me how many people did come out and help.
Right. Right. And I found like people who have gone through it reached out. Like they are the
Mm,
people that are like, okay, I've done this. I don't really know you, but I know you're in my community. I heard you have cancer. What can I do for you? And those things were super encouraging to me. So I've tried to take that on and be that
yes.
person when I know a new person locally has been diagnosed and knowing that maybe have no interest in talking to me, and that's totally fine. But I like to just say, hey, I've been in a similar place, and if you want me, I'm here. And that has actually been wonderful. I've gotten to know some women I probably would have never gotten to know otherwise, which is kind of a cool thing to be on the other side of that too.
Yes, that's wonderful. So I love at the end of each chapter, you have a prayer and then you have reflection. Because sometimes when we're going through it, especially something like that, you can't even think of a prayer because your
Right.
mind is just done. Like you are, especially being women with cancer, because usually we're the ones that are taking care of the home and taking care of the groceries and taking care of the bill or whatever. So you feel like you have all of that on top of, and you can't even think of one more thing. So I love that
Right.
at the end of each chapter, you have a prayer, you have a reflection. I think it's a great idea to have a journal when you're going through
Mm.
something like this, because sometimes we
Mhm.
forget all the amazing things that God does for us through it because we have so much
Yes.
going on.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. And that is one of the things with those prayers. I wanted to be able to put something down there that you could just personalize and say very quickly. And um, they're short and to the point, and hopefully that is helpful for someone. And I agree with the journaling too. I've always been a journaler, but I mean that is one of the ways in like even writing this book, I would go back to my journals and I'd remember that period of time and go back and I could read the emotions I had that day,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
it would just stir up. Um, it would help me to write and rethink through the things that God had done because I had written it down. And you're going through chemo, you forget things like crazy too.
Yeah.
So it just to have it written down was, yeah, I encourage that of anyone to just write stuff out. I find it very therapeutic. Some people might not, but
Mhm.
that's
Yeah, I love that the chapters are short also because it can be an end of the day short little read, a prayer and everything just to give you that hope or that what you need before you go to sleep.
yes.
It's
Yep.
great.
And that was purposeful too in keeping them as short as they were. I wanted them to be longer than like a 200 word devotion, but
Yes.
short enough that someone who doesn't have very much mental capacity could like spend 3 to 5 minutes reading it and get something
Yes.
out of it. So that was my hope, just a short little blip
Yes.
of encouragement that you could get.
So
So
good. What do you think is the biggest misconception about cancer that you kind of hope to clear up with this book? Do you have anything like that?
um misconception. One thing would be that it's a death sentence.
Mm,
I feel like, I mean, and that was my fear when I was first diagnosed, and I didn't know how far it had spread, and I was just like, okay, am I going to die? Am I going to die? And people do die. I have known people since I've been diagnosed that have died of cancer, but people get really weird who are around you when you're diagnosed because that's where people's brains go. Cancer, death. Oh, how do I relate to this person?
yeah.
But cancer, um, there are so many different types and stages, so it's hard to just like say something that would relate to everyone. But
Yeah.
so many people who are diagnosed, it is a very hard year or two of treatment. And then many people go into retreatment or remission or long-term, years and years without cancer, and then it may come back or it may not. But it is a hard life circumstance, but it is not necessarily a death sentence. You don't have to think death. Even people are diagnosed stage 4. I have a woman who I interviewed in my book who's 12 years ago was diagnosed stage 4, and she is still alive and going strong. So,
Wow.
man, if you don't think of it as a death sentence, you can live. Like, I would
Yeah.
hate to look back after having been diagnosed stage 4 12 years ago and thought, man, I have just been waiting to die for 12 years because
Right.
it's not, you can live. It is
Hmm.
scary,
Hmm.
but it's not necessarily a death sentence. I think that's one
Yeah.
big misconception people
Yes.
have.
Yeah. I give my gynecologist is the one that actually called to tell me because I'd been going to him my whole entire life.
Mm,
And I give him so much credit because that's what he said to me. He said, Stephanie, this is not a death sentence. This is a detour. And then you're gonna get right back to life. And that right there, and I thanked him profusely after I had gone through everything. I thanked him profusely because I said that was all I needed to hear when I first got my
mhm.
diagnosis to not let me go into that path of,
Yes.
okay, I'm dying. Now, I will tell you this, I did plan a few things for my family, like in case, because who know,
Hmm.
I don't know if the
Right.
Lord, had a plan for me to stay here or if that was the plan for me
Right.
to go be with him. Either
Yep.
one, I win,
Yep.
but
Right.
I did
Right.
plan a few things. I did talk to my pastor about a funeral and I did, and not to be morbid, but just to be prepared. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
I
I think
don't
that
think there's
that,
anything wrong with that.
oh, I totally agree. I think that we should have just I mean, especially as believers, we can have a view of death that is, I mean,
Yeah.
it's so sad, but so hopeful.
Yes.
And to be able to do something like that and make some of those plans, if your family would thank you for that later, right? If that was
Right.
necessary, if you're, so I think that those kind of plans that's excellent. I did not do that, but I'm like, I maybe should do that if it comes.
Yeah. And I'll tell you,
So,
the biggest thing I wanted planned, I told my pastor, I said, my funeral, I don't want it to be about me. I want it to be about Jesus because I want every single person there, I want them to have the ability to accept him as Savior.
mm,
If I leave nothing else
mm,
behind, I want to leave
right,
that. So that was my biggest planning thing. I
right.
wasn't picking out
Yes.
caskets or
Yep.
anything like that.
Oh, yep. Yes.
There were two
Um,
days in the book that just really, really touched, like got to my heart and just made me really think. And the first one was day 22, serving and receiving. And you talk about
okay.
Heidi, and she was going through cancer. She needed something, she prayed for it, and then somebody called to offer her help, and she was like, "Oh, no, 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 thank you," and hung up, and then
Right.
realized God was answering
Hmm.
her prayer. And I know that feeling because I'm usually the doer, and it's so hard for me to
Hmm.
accept help. And it just touched
Yes.
my heart because the Lord answered her prayer immediately. And thankfully, she
Right.
realized it and she was able to,
She
to
realized it.
accept that help. And I love that so much.
Yes, I love that story too. And it's such a
Hmm.
simple thing. And yeah, the fact that she recognized that and um I like you, I think most women are the doers and
Hmm.
we don't necessarily want to accept help, but as in cancer, that's something that I had to learn. And I
Hmm.
think maybe Heidi said this in there too, but like that person who called and wanted to help her, she really wanted to offer help. And by saying no, we take a blessing away from the person that wants to
Yeah.
help us.
Yeah.
Like we're robbing a blessing from them by trying to be so strong and doing it ourselves when we're really giving them a gift. In fact, I just a couple weeks ago, one of my friends or one of my son's friends' moms was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she was, I was on a walk and I saw her on the street, so we stopped and talked, and she said that someone had brought her a meal, and she just felt like she wanted to be able to repay her, and I was like, no, she wanted to do that for you, and you don't have to repay her. And then she said. And this is where our minds go too. But she's like, she gave me this meal, and then I felt so good that night that I wanted to go out for a walk, but I didn't want to walk past her house because I thought she'd think, oh, why did I give her a meal? She's good enough to go out walking. I'm like, no, like you need to just let people bless you because they're not thinking that at all.
Yes.
They want to bless you. So
Yeah.
yeah. And
It's
and
crazy
God
where our minds go
just
sometimes,
oh,
really.
it is. And God's using those people. I mean, God prompted the woman to call Heidi and ask if she needed help, right? So
Right.
God is in that, and you just need to sometimes take a step back and
Yes. And accept
Yeah.
it, accept the help,
Yes.
especially when like she was just needing it and God answered her prayer immediately. I don't
Yep.
like when I look back and I see where God was trying to answer one of my prayers and I said no. And
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't see it soon enough. So that was a
Yeah.
great chapter. And then the other one, which I kind of was talking a little bit about, living out fear not. The fact that my
Mm-hmm.
doctor, spoke that into me immediately. I I mean, I had a few tears when I first found out, I think of shock. And then my entire journey, I was just leaning on the Lord the whole entire time. And he gave me such peace. Like
Mm-hmm.
peace, so much peace that sometimes I would forget I was going through it. I would
Right.
forget I had it. So
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah.
living out fear not. That's day 39 with
Mm-hmm.
Beverly.
With Beverly. Yep. And she is the one who's been living with stage 4 breast cancer for years. And yeah, I think that's important too. I mean, I remember at the beginning having the fear.
Hmm.
I remember nights, and I was always worse at night. And
Yeah.
I would just repeat Isaiah 41:10 over and over in my head. Fear not, for I'm with you. Be not dismayed, for I'm your God. I will strengthen you. I'll help you. I will uphold you with my right hand of righteousness. And that verse would just over and over and over go through my head. Um, and that helped me with that fear. And it kind of sometimes it has to be a daily choice. You have to choose
Oh,
not to
yeah.
fear.
Hmm.
But it is so awesome that God gives us the peace because the world really doesn't understand it. Like
Right.
when I am saying, okay, I'm going through chemo, but I'm okay. I'm still
Hmm.
sleeping at night. I'm not, I mean, do I want to do this? Do I want to die? No.
Hmm.
But yeah, God gives you this peace, and it allows you to live without that fear.
Yeah. Because the enemy will use this. Oh, will he use this to put little thoughts into your head, or you'll read something and he'll speak to you so, so strongly to get you to fear. And that, just
Right,
so we know, fear does not come from the Lord.
right. Right.
So
Yeah,
good.
there's so, and it's all through scripture, right? Fear
Yes.
not, do not fear,
Yep.
do not fear. Yeah.
Yeah. So good. Where can the listeners find Carried Through Cancer?
You can basically find it anywhere you would buy books online. My publisher there is a website called carriedthroughcancer.com too that you can go to. There's actually a couple downloadables on there, and then there's
Oh, nice.
multiple places online you could go to buy it from. But it's on Amazon, it's on Barnes and Noble, anywhere online. And then I also have a website. It's kimharms.com, so you can get to order it through there. And just another little plug on my website. My mom and two of her friends. The first time I was diagnosed with breast cancer, her two friends had daughters diagnosed that same year, and
Oh,
they started making mastectomy pillows, which are basically little small heart-shaped pillows to put in your armpit after surgery, because it's kind of uncomfortable,
mhm.
painful. But anyway, there's a way to request those through my website, and they send them free all across the United States. So they've sent
Wow.
thousands and thousands of these all over the US. So I'd love for you to go and check out my book. But if you or someone you know is in need of those pillows too, you can go on there and request them, and they will send you a pretty comfy set of pillows. So
So that's
yeah,
kimharms.com. That's where that is.
yes,
That's
yeah,
wonderful. This book would be great for if you know somebody who's diagnosed with cancer, if you know a caregiver. I mean, it would be a great gift for somebody just to help them have peace to know that they're not the first, they won't be the last, but that God is there for you through the entire journey.
yes,
So
yes. I'm
good.
hoping that that's what it does for people.
Thank you. Thank you, Kim, for your time. I truly, truly appreciate you and the book.
No, thank you so much for having me. It's been great.
God bless you. Thanks for tuning in to Authors Amplified. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend and subscribe for more incredible authors next time.